Hey, Ticat fans, welcome to the first episode of Tasker and Andy. We are really excited to be doing a new thing with the team with the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Luke Tasker, and my friend here on the screen is one of my favorite teammates of all time, Andy Fantuz, Ticats legend. Tuz, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey Luke, I'm good, brother. It's nice to chat some football with you. It's been a pleasure working with you so far this year on the Ticats Audio Network, and I'm looking forward to big things to come and my new teammate, my continuing teammate in the next
I
career.
know. Usually, we haven't seen each other since the broadcast on last week in Winnipeg, and usually I get to see you the day after a game. Man, this is too long of a break since Winnipeg. But what's happening with you, man? What's going on with you in Canada, and anything cool and exciting going on?
Actually, yeah, I had an amazing experience 2 nights ago. Tuesday night, I was invited to go down to London for the welcome home ceremony for a couple of our Canadian gold medalists.
Come on.
Yeah, Damian Warner and Maggie McNeil, who won 3 medals actually. They were having a welcome ceremony at a friend of mine, Jeff Fisher's backyard, and it was an incredible experience. There was the TV crew was there, the mayor of London was there. There was hundreds of people, athletes from all different sports. You know, friends and colleagues of mine from the past at Western, and it was just an incredible, joyous moment, and just so much passion in the air, and hearing Damien talk, giving so much credit to the people around him, and being thankful and humble and gracious. It was just like one of those like warm, proud Canadian feelings, and I know you're American, but you're kind of I think you understand where I'm coming from.
Well, honorary Canadian, I've been called since like the day I stepped foot in the locker room. So people thought I was a Canadian kicker for the most part whenever when I joined the team. That's cool, man. That's great for Canadian sports. That's cool that you got to be a part of it too. That's impressive. Are the athletes from Ontario?
Yeah, these two athletes are both from London,
Oh,
and
nice.
I've been working together with them for a few years now on different charity events. So Damien came to my first annual All In for Brain Research event that was held in Hamilton in 2019. We had to take 2020 off, but so for any of you listeners who were there, Damien was there, and now he's a gold medalist and arguably the best athlete in the world. So decathlon gold medalist. Um, some of his times were just outstanding. Like his long jump was good enough for the bronze medal in the regular men's long jump, and he is a decathlete. So
That's amazing.
it's just remarkable. But anyway, yeah, that's what's new with me. What's new with you?
Oh, nothing, man. I am just doing my thing in Buffalo here and waiting for the next game to get across the border. I'm just so excited that I get an excuse to come back up and be a part of the CFL in a new way. When still, I mean, the border is open now, but the days that for game one in our preseason prep stuff, I was in the exclusive group of people allowed to cross the border. So, we're still dealing with everything with COVID too, and it's hard across the border, and it's hard on my side of the border here as well. And there's still barriers and still question marks, but very pleased that we are able to overcome those to a certain extent, at least, and that I was able to get back involved with the Ticats this year. Let's jump into it. So, please
Yeah.
go ahead. What?
Yeah, well, just like with COVID, I heard on the radio like our numbers in Ontario, our ICU numbers are lowering. We're almost just over 100, and we're I guess one of my point is that we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to look forward, and just like us in our situation, game day's coming up, and we can look. First, we want to reflect a little bit on last week, but we need to look forward and flush that game down and move on. And who better to go against than a team that is very dear to my heart for some obvious reasons, but also an incredible matchup going into week 2 and an incredible challenge.
That's awesome. I can see that little picture behind your shoulder there of the young Andy Fantuz. Is that the Grey Cup year? Is that you won in your rookie season, right?
I won in my second season in
Second.
2007.
Yeah.
And then I had back-to-back losses as a Saskatchewan Rough Rider, 2009 and 2010, both to Montreal.
Yeah.
So, and then coming to Hamilton, and then I had another back-to-back losses, 2013, 2014. So, yeah,
Yes, indeed.
don't take any victories for granted or any championships for granted. You never know if you'll get back.
You can't. We'll touch on some of these games as well too. Lee, before we move on to Sask, what was your take on the Winnipeg game? I mean, obviously not the best way for the Ticats to start off a season. You can kind of look across the board in all three phases and find ways to improve, of course. But being the first game that I ever did color for, I was very excited, very energized and ready to go. And I'm glad I can say that because actually the game was a little bit, in the traditional sense, I suppose, boring, I guess, of a game. There was long stretches with no first downs and limited offensive production. But it's game one. What's your take on it? What do we need to work on the most after that?
Well, I know if I was in that film room with yourself and the rest of our receivers, one thing that you have to be able to do is move the ball, push the ball down the field between the hashes, down the middle of the field. We need to improve on that. We need to get some catches over the middle. Those are some of those easy possession first downs that just move the sticks, continue the drive, tire out the defense and allow you to take those shots on the outside, on the sideline, down the field. And it just gives you a lot more dynamic ability in your offense. So that was one thing to me that I think if I know Tommy, which I believe I do, is going to be a stressor for this week.
Yeah.
He's going to be hard on those guys, in that film room. And there'll be a couple individual fundamental issues to clean up, I'm sure. But as an offense, that's one thing that we have to address. What about you? What did you see?
I can picture times in games that we lost, and there were so many ways to get better after that game, right? There's not much that went the way that you wanted it to go, and I can remember times being in a receiver room with you where we put on the film, and it really just doesn't even look like we're watching us. It's just so not what we want to be, so not what we know that we can play like. I mean, we're not playing up to our potential. And in some ways, I remember times with you where it was like, Andy, like, we can just forget about this. Like, this is not us. I know that we're going to play better this week. And it really was. I mean, there are some games that the flow's not right and it just got away from you. And when you have a hard time getting a first down, it actually becomes harder and harder as the game progresses. That confidence and that success on first down, moving the chains builds. And so once you get to a place where you're doing that pretty productively, I find that then the game rolls along. And I'm sure that these guys, Speedy B, the veteran leading the group, I think that they're going to find it easy to just say, this really just wasn't us. Like, we don't have to harp on this game. We know we didn't play. We didn't produce the way that we want to. And at the same time, I'm also not really worried about it, right? As a receiver in that room, you have confidence in your ability to play a little bit better. For first down production, so an Oscar route is a little 6-yard speed out that is just a huge part of a CFL offense. Between the two of us, Andy, how many Oscar routes for first downs do you think we caught in our career? There's this stat. Somebody could research the stat, I'm sure. I'm not going to. I don't know.
Well, let me think. How many catches did I have in my career? I think it was
70% of them were Oscars for first downs.
I'm going to go with 400 for me. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar for you.
I remember there were games where I'd have 10 catches for 90 yards. Like what? Like, you have like a post route for like 25, and then you have like a bunch of 5-yard completions on Oscar routes. But that's what keeps the game going, man. That's why you're one of the best Canadian receivers to ever touch a football in your life, is because you were the man at moving the chains. And you're right. That's kind of what I hope we can see progress as the weeks go on.
Well, I think that's a great point, because it's essentially an extension from your running game. And if you're not able to get those 5, 7, 8-yard chunks on the ground, well, those completions that are 95% guaranteed completion, it's just an extension of that. So you have to have that as part of your offense. And some days that off tackle run will click. Some days the run pass option will click. Sometimes the outside run will click. Sometimes the inside run. Sometimes those Oscar routes. Maybe that little dump, the check down over the middle. But those constant chunks and ability to create second and shorts or pick up those second and mediums convert those into first downs are just essential for staying on the field. And as the game progresses, like you said, you don't want to let the pressure snowball, so that in the fourth quarter, when all the pressure's there, then you have to make a play when you haven't been involved. So that's important.
That's Tommy's thing. Remember, we were running backs for him. When we practiced that wide receiver screen, that's effectively a run play. That's what he would call it. That he's he jokingly, of course, but he said we're calling a run play this time. It's a wide receiver screen to Fantuz to the field side hash. I mean, that's CFL offense. So you have to be able to get 5 yards in a passing game as well as on the ground. Coach O and Tommy in 2019 with Coach O, like the man is just as even keeled, middle pendulum as you could possibly be. Like, he is just not one. In fact, a loss is not what gets him riled up. A loss, even a loss that was game one, a hard way to start the season off, that's not, in my experience, what makes Coach O lose his cool. Rarely does he. These guys are going to be, like I said, they kind of know what they can do. They're going to have a sense of that. And there was some talk before the season started where Coach O kind of answered a few questions like, what's it going to look like? Who's going to step up to the plate on? And some of his answers were, I'm not sure. Yes, there was no preseason. Yes, it was a strange year. But a game like this, I do think that Coach O's demeanor will be drop the luggage, drop the baggage. We get to, not got to, get better and go gain a win this week. I think that I don't know. I think he was one of the best coaches I ever played for as far as his demeanor after a loss. And you and I started out some seasons 0-1, 100%. I mean, 2014, and I would love to hear your perspective about Sask coming up here and playing there and playing against them away home. 2014, after having 6 months ago lost the Grey Cup in Sask, then we were back in Sask for week 1. And we got hammered. We got beat very badly, is what I mean. we got beat real bad. And I scored one touchdown that game. It was the first touchdown of the season. It was great, maybe one of my best plays in Sask. But that game was a nightmare. And then again 6 months from that, we were back in the Grey Cup. So it's a game one situation. I mean, there's only 14 to play this year, and so they're weighed a little heavier, right? They count a little bit more than when there's 18 games in a season, but there is just a lot of growth that each team is going to make. There's a lot of bounds that everybody gets to experience, and I don't know if I would expect anything less from Coach O, from Tommy, than just to say, drop this, guys. It's time for us to reevaluate and reestablish what we're about.
I certainly see a lot of similarities with that 2014 opening game in Sask and and the Ticats game last week in Winnipeg. Yep. And you started off strong, but then it was a dud for the rest of the game, and a very disappointing and disheartening game to reflect on. However, with a team like the Ticats, you also see what happened to them in 2019, and they were sort of steamrolling their way through the season. And you can speak firsthand, and then you get into the playoffs and you're still on a high, and you never really had that sharp wake-up call. So this could be actually something that works in their favor, to get that humbling experience right at the start and know, okay, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We're not at the top. We're not, all this talk about expectations outside. We have to build and grow and get there, because the champions just gave us a lesson in their backyard. And if we want a chance to get to where we want to go, then that could be a good thing. And I think like you said, I couldn't agree more that having an even-keeled coach like Orlando is really going to be to their benefit. coming
Yeah,
into
100%.
this week.
100%. And everyone, it seemed to me like everyone favored the Ticats before this game and at the start of the season. It's maybe not the worst time to take that loss. I'd rather have it now than I would in November, right? And I'm not talking playoffs. Even a regular season loss, it's you get to the end of a season, that first game feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like it really. I remember the feeling of that. That seems like a different team was playing them. You progress, you get better, and you just you learn and you understand yourself a little bit more. Tuz, talk to me about Sask. You played there as a rookie. You won a Grey Cup there. You know what it's like to play in Sask with the nature of football in that city. Granted, new stadium. Did you play a game in the new stadium?
I did not. No, unfortunately.
So you know about the city and the team. What's it going to be like there? And tell me about your own experience as a player there, and then of course as a visiting team with the Ticats.
Sure. Yeah. Sask was a special place for me. It is an amazing game day experience. I actually draw a lot of parallels to Hamilton because when I was playing for Sask, I thought this is my favorite place to play a game, probably because I'm the home team. And my second favorite place was in Hamilton at Ivor Wynn. And coming here because of the fans, because of the tailgating, because of just the atmosphere in the city. And then when I got to Hamilton, then it was reversed. It was like playing at Tim Hortons Field was my favorite place to play, my favorite game day experience. But going into Sask, even though there were some mixed emotions for me personally, there was some sour taste there. I think the majority of Fantuz fans understood kind of the reason for the move, but regardless, it was still an amazing place to play, and the players are gonna experience that as they go there this week. You're gonna even as they come into the city, as they're heading over to the stadium, just as the place is filling up and the lights are coming on, there is no other place quite like it in the CFL. The most similar is Hamilton. So it's amazing energy. And I was watching the Sask game last week on TV, and I was kind of like, I was really getting emotional. And it was an amazing experience. I think that snowbirds flew by like 4 times. They went back and forth, and then 10 minutes later they went over again. And the national anthem by the First Nations young girl was incredible. And I was remembering some of those days, and
Awesome.
So they're going to have to overcome that atmosphere, similar to the type of atmosphere that would have been in Winnipeg.
Yep.
And they have a challenge in front of them. So I see,
100%.
yeah, kind of to reflect on your last question about what do we need to improve from last game. Well, you saw how the quarterback, Cody Fajardo, was able to escape from the grasps of the defensive line and linebackers and pick up first downs and extend plays. Yeah. Very similar to what happened last week with Zach Caleros. So we're going to have to defend on that front seven, even though we're dealing with a lot of injuries, even though the Ticats are dealing with a lot of injuries. The Ticats need to be able to get pressure on Cody Fajardo, and when they do, they need to be able to wrap him up and bring him down to create some second and longs and to create some momentum that can lead into interception, turnover type of scenarios, right?
100%. And I think that we can Fajardo is great at making plays with his legs outside of the pocket. I don't know if he'll have quite the ability that Caleros has to run around the pocket, staying behind the line of scrimmage to make a throw downfield, because that's the incredibly frustrating thing. Having never played defense since high school, but just being a part of it, that is frustrating because the rush is doing the job, right? And the coverage is maintaining at least for a reasonable amount of time, but his ability to keep the play alive and look and with his eyes downfield last week was that's a weapon for them. Fajardo will certainly be able to is certainly on the ground a huge threat as well. I was thinking about with Sask, what's interesting about your career and my career is that I missed Ivor Wynn by 1 year, never played in Ivor Wynn, and you missed the new stadium in Sask. So I only had Tim Hortons Field. You only had the original Sask, but because Ivor Wynn, so I've been told, and having played the Grey Cup in the original Sask stadium, those were dungeon locker rooms, man. Like they were cement caves. And now everybody's stadiums are like Lasertron facilities, like in the locker room. There's like neon lights everywhere and like, all kinds of cool stuff. And I loved Tim Hortons Field. I mean, that was my home. But I always wish that I could have played in Ivor Wynn and seen what original Hamilton football was like.
Well, I promise you didn't miss much if you were in opposition at Ivor Wynn.
Yeah.
There was – this is going to sound gross to our listeners, but I'm not joking, at least 3 or 4 inches of built up water in the shower. So it's sud and sweat and soap and there was no drain. Yeah, there was no drainage there. It was nasty. You're getting dripped on as you're walking through the concourse as a fan or as a player. It was
wow.
But it had a lot of history and had a lot of magic, had a lot of character. So it was still, even though the locker rooms were dungeons, it was still an incredible place to play.
One of the favorite things I've been told about Ivor Wynn is that if you're sitting in the stall in the locker room, you could see daylight through the concrete out. Like, I guess I don't know if it was underneath the stands or whatever, but like, it wasn't like airtight. Like, it's just amazing. What a great part of CFL football history. Cool, man. Well, does our new career together make you miss playing at all?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah,
just this camaraderie part of it.
Yeah.
Having our new team is something that I've missed. Having teammates and having a collective approach and camaraderie. So, yeah. But at the same time, this is fun in different ways, and it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow and reflect on my experiences and learn for the next game. And very similar to what's going to happen with all these young CFL players earlier in their careers. So we're going to see where it takes us.
Cool, man. I do miss playing, but nobody's going to tackle us on game day. So it's kind of just nice knowing that. I've only done one game with RJ Broadhead, but I don't know how excited he gets. But I don't think anyone's going to tackle me when for what's going on in the field. And I will say, when RJ's radio call for when Ackland scored the touchdown in Winnipeg, I had hair standing up on the back of my neck as if we were on the field or something. Like, it was just so much energy and so much just like Ticat football. Let's go. It was just fantastic to be a part of. I'm just so happy to be able to just be talking with you every couple times a week now again, just like we used to. This is going to be great, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. You guys, I was listening to you guys in the next room during the game, and you knocked it out of the park. And RJ, I had chills as well. Ackland made an amazing catch, and he made a couple of them that game. And I thought you were seasoned, so good for you. Hats off. And I guess apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I still haven't got my coaching report from Dad yet. We're gonna see. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about the game, but he's gonna. I told him I want some notes and some pointers. So we'll see what Steve Tasker has to say about the Ticats Audio Network broadcast.
Right on.
Well, cool, man. Ticat fans, thanks a lot for listening. This is Tasker and Andy. This was episode 1. We're going to be doing this throughout the season. Ticats Audio Network, Ticats All Access app, all of that. So any place you get your podcasts, you'll be able to eventually find our shows here. Looking forward to a great Ticat season. Tuz, you're the man. I will see you in the broadcast booth, buddy.